It's a new day on the boat, and winter's coming, so it's been getting a little bit chilly in the mornings. Like right now, temperature is 40 degrees out, and I know, a lot of people who watch this don't use Fahrenheit, so to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius, or actually convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit, you take the temperature, multiply it by 9, divide by 5, and then subtract 32. So if I did my math right, that should put it somewhere between you definitely need a jacket and you might need a winter coat. Right around that in Celsius. So I figured, good time to come down here and test this thing out and see how it works. I mean, might as well see how it does now instead of burning my boat once I put it in the water, right? And this was got went online, was checking them out, and it's pretty good stove. And this one actually has this piece on it. I forget what they call it. It's a chimney heat robber or something like that. But if you come over on this side, inside the hanging locker here, it actually has a fan that will suck air in through here and blow it around the chimney to get even more heat off of it. So I figured I'll go through, check it out, maybe start a little fire, because I'm trying to get ready to do paint and probably going to have to do some epoxy work in here. And it doesn't work that good if it's too cold in here. So, nothing better to do than light a fire on my boat, right? Okay, remember kids, safety first. So, I'm going to take this light, put it inside there, and then go up on top and take the top off and look down through and make sure it's clear. No buildup or bird nest or anything like that before I start a fire. That part looks pretty clean. I can see light through it and everything, so should be no problem there. I can actually see some light shining up in through there, and no nest, wasp nest or anything like that, so we should be good. And my next step was running a garden hose, just in case, you know how they say, you can never be too safe. This boat actually came with this bag of hickory smoking chips. I'm guessing that it was on here for the wood burner. So throw a couple handfuls in there and light it up and see what happens. Looks like smoke is flowing out the top okay. Getting a little bit of fire going. Got the fan working here. And I can actually put my hand on the chimney, so that's a good thing that it's not getting too hot. But I can still see my breath in here. Feels like it's making it colder in here, if anything. Unless you put your hand right here, you can feel some nice heat. Well, I got a little bit of a fire going in it. Got the fan on, but it's like, I don't know what's going on with it, because right here I can feel a teeny bit of air blowing out. But if I go around, it's like I would expect it to be actually moving some air out of it, and it's like I can barely feel any air movement anywhere. Chimney's getting nice and warm, which is another concern I have, because I don't think that's enough clearance around the chimney, especially when it's touching a piece of wood right there. That's really not a good thing. I mean, the fact that it's cool enough I can touch it here, that makes me feel better. But if this fan was removing a lot more of the heat, then maybe I'd get a real fire going in it. Instead of just that, you know. Which, like I said, if you put your hand right here, feels nice and warm. I'm sure if I touched that part, it would burn me. Probably this part of the chimney too. But it just doesn't seem to be a hot enough fire because it's not removing enough of the heat to where I want to get a good fire going. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'll let it burn out and then take these screws off and see if maybe there's something in there restricting the airflow or something. I don't know. I'll get a better look at it once it's cooled down and maybe try it again. Well, so far I guess I'd have to say this is like a failure. Haven't really got a good fire going, just a little bit, and I can put my hand right up here, almost touching the top of it. Feel a little bit of heat. Come over to the chimney here, a lot more heat. Up here, kind of toasty. You know, I can touch it without getting burnt, but I can't keep my hand on it. Got the fan blowing a little bit better air, but it's like the air's not really that warm. Almost seems like all the heat is just going straight up and out the chimney. And that's with everything closed up here. If I close the damper, it helps a teeny bit, but then, like I said, I just don't trust this up here, because when I checked online, you're supposed to have a couple inches of clearance, and especially over on this side, it's almost touching right there. And I know that can't be safe. And it is touching. I don't know. You can see that the chimney pipe's actually touching the wood right there. That is definitely not safe. So I really haven't got a real fire going in it yet. I've just been checking and seeing that the chimney is getting hotter than the wood burner itself. So I think I'm going to go ahead and let this burn out and call it quits on this for now, unless I redo it so it doesn't have that in it. I'm going to have to cut this hole bigger to give it the proper clearance, which I don't know if I can because of how close it is to the bulkhead here. I mean, looking this way, you can see it goes up and then moves over. So I guess if I make my opening more this way and get the pipe over straight up, it would probably be better. But I don't know. We'll see how things go in the future. Well, I'm back at the boat today, and today it's actually colder inside the boat than it is outside. So guess what I'm messing with? Decided to take this apart, and I actually took this piece off where the air comes in here. They had it going the other way, and it was down low, and it would blow the air out the top. And I flipped it around so that the cold air comes in and comes up here and blows down, so hopefully it'll actually take more heat away. But I went ahead and pulled the top off and everything, which needed to be done because it really wasn't sealed anyways. And you can see they actually cut away part of the wood here just to fit the pipe up through there. Now I think I'm going to take it, and I already made a template. It's a 5-inch circle, and I should be able to bring it out this way more. And that should give me enough. I mean, this isn't mounted solid yet, but it should give me enough to keep some clearance in between here and get the pipe more straight up through here and have clearance on this side too. So I guess I'm gonna go take a saw to my boat and see what happens. So took a piece of paper, folded it in half, and folded it in half again, and then folded that in half, and then folded that in half. And then I measured from the point down here up 2.5 inches, because that would be half of a 5-inch circle. Took a pair of scissors and cut across. So then when you open this thing up, hey, to me that looks like a 5-inch circle to use as a template to put up here to give me my dimensions for where I need to cut. I think it'll work. And there we go. Now it looks like a decent amount of clearance all the way around. So hopefully that'll keep it from getting everything hot and catching the boat on fire. Now, that is a slight angle because of the way the deck is compared to this being straight up. I might have to cut my piece of pipe to fill in here and modify it slightly to work with that angle. And there we go. It looks like we might be back in business. Man, it looks kind of crappy because this is where it used to be, and you can see I moved it over some. But eventually we're probably going to repaint everything up here. Just wanted to make sure it was sealed up for now. I used some this stuff. Read good reviews. It's similar to 4200, except everything that I read about it, when it was tested by independent people, it actually did better than 4200. I guess we'll find out. I just put a little bit around there. It's got a rubber seal underneath here, and I put some on there and just tighten it down to a little bit squeezed out on the sides. Originally I was thinking about, because the cabin top is sloped, I wanted to put it so it went straight and build up one side of it with fiberglass to get it level. And then when I looked at, I don't know if you can see it that good there, this piece actually dips down lower right here. So if it was sitting level, any water that gets up here would come into this deep part, which is where the screws are. And then the only place for it to go is under the screws. So tried to line it up so that the highest part is between two screws and the lowest part over here is between two screws. So the water will run down off of here and not sit around the screws in this lower valley here. And yeah, now I just got some sealant on it. Well, like I said, when we get ready to paint, I'm probably pulling this back off so we can redo everything, and maybe I'll even polish this up and make it look shiny again. And here's one more look at the inside, the somewhat pretty much kind of finished project. To compensate for the cabin top being at an angle and the pipe being straight, you can see I need a little bit in there to connect the two, and a little bit of an angle here and a little bit of an angle in it up here. I know if you check with the housing authority or whoever, yeah, I'm sure that's not legal in a house, and this is not a house. And you decide which one's better, that or having this thing in there. Oh, by the way, when this was in there, I could take it and move it up and down almost an inch because of how loose it was in there. So I think I'm going with this one's better. Once I get a fire and get it heated up, and then it'll be discolored just like the rest of it, and you won't even notice. Oh, another day at the boat and another fire. So I got a little bit better fire going this time. Got my fan in here blowing. I can feel a decent amount of heat coming off of it. And then I clamped on another fan there and temporarily hooked it up so it's blowing right on the chimney up here. And it's doing a good job. I mean, I can actually touch the chimney up here. It's good and warm, but if it's staying that cool, that means it's not going to catch anything on fire up here. And of course, as you go down the chimney, it gets a lot hotter. And I definitely can't touch it down here. Got a decent amount of heat coming off of it. It's starting to warm the boat up a little bit, even though I've got the companionway open. Of course, the bad thing about this stove, and I've seen other people talk about it, and when you close the door, you can see there's a gap there. So it's letting a lot of air in. And I don't know if you can see this little damper on the front here that you open and close. Because the door is warped, there's a space up there. So you can see it there, it's sucking a lot of air in. So it's drawing air in here, along both sides on the door, it's sucking air in. So you can't really close it down to make it burn slower and hotter. And I think I'm going to see if I can put some kind of seal around the door. Have to get a real thin stuff, but as far as this gap in here, I don't think I'll be able to do anything about that. But then, I mean, like I said, it's giving off a decent amount of heat. Checking the wall's not getting warm. Cabinets over here aren't getting hot or anything like that. You know, clear up here, I can feel with the fan blowing down and mixing with the heat, it's nice and warm right over here. Same thing over on this side. So it's doing its job. It's making heat. And so far, you know, I can put my finger on there and hold it there. It's a little bit warm, but you know, nothing up here. This fiberglass isn't getting hot or anything like that. The wood on the back, good airflow. The wood's not getting warm. The wall's not getting warm. Well, they're getting warm because there's a fire in here, but they're not getting hot. Nothing that I didn't need to be concerned about. And I mean, it's not a rip-roaring fire, but there's a good bed of coals in there, and you know, a lot more of a fire than what I had before, and it's staying a lot cooler up here at the top. So I think it's actually going to work. You ever meet one of them people that can look at something, tinker with it, and say, you know what, I can make it better. Well, look what I'm doing now. It's going home with me because I bet you I can engineer a better front door that will seal better on it. And then I'll be back to try it again. Now there we go, with the heat shield off the outside of it. Now you can see how big of a gap is actually in there on this front door here. And this, I bent it a little bit, got it a little bit tighter seal across the top, but both sides are like that. And then this little front piece here is great to let air in. A little cover that goes up and down here, which doesn't slide very good. But from the heat, because this is just real thin stainless steel, this whole thing is warped. And they actually suck this side in and push the outsides, the edges out. So pretty much nothing around here seals, except for, like I said, I tweaked it a little bit on the top and got these edges of it to seal up here. Well, I got to put it back in and good fire going in it. I just took that door off the front. I had a piece of 1/8 inch plate steel, cut it to fit and put it on here. Still don't have a seal on it, but it's sealed up a lot better than the old one that was warped and didn't seal on either side and had a big bow in the middle of it, so the vent didn't seal up. So now when I move the damper down here, I can actually control the airflow, and got to get it off good amount of heat now. With my fan that I got sitting up here blowing on the chimney, it's staying cool enough I can put my hand on it. A little bit warmer on this side, but still I can touch it, hold my hand on it, so it's not too hot. It's not getting the cabin top hot or anything like that. Get down to in this area, I definitely can't touch it here. And this little fan's blowing a decent amount of air out of it. Well, blowing some air out of it. It's giving off some heat. And it's actually starting to warm it up in the boat here. But I've still got the floor ripped up. And it was down to 28 degrees last night. So right now this fuel tank is still 20 some degrees. So that's putting a lot of cold air into the boat, but it still feels pretty decent. I mean, it ain't exactly warm in here, but it's a lot warmer than outside, and definitely a lot warmer than it was this morning.